when the guys go back, they text Nolan's mother. This is where it ticks me off. They showed me a phone call where immediately the first phone call that was made concerning Nolan was Warren called Nolan's mom, and she hung up the phone on him the first time because she didn't know who he was. The second call, he told her, hey, Nolan hasn't come back. Do you know that? Have you heard from him? And then they called the Coast Guard. So his mother was very much aware that they had Nolan's phone. His mother did not have to track the phone through Life 360. His mother didn't come get the phone. Another parent of a black kid who was out there with Nolan came to get her son's phone and Nolan's phone. So why didn't Al Sharpton or any of them ask these boys what happened, have them show evidence, and then present it to the public? And it's because I think they wanted the race bait instead of trying to find out what happened to Nolan.
Hold on, Charles. Do you know whether or not Al Sharpton and those guys had asked to talk to the kids, and the kids refused to talk to them? Do you know if
they told me today? Well, they told me that they haven't heard anything from Al Sharpton or anybody that tried to contact them. This is what they told me. Now, they showed me messages where parents had communicated and reached out to Benjamin Crump, his team, and said, we would love to communicate with you guys. Any questions you have, we want to talk to you guys so you can get the context. Also, they messaged Nolan's mother multiple times about communicating and saying, hey, if you need anything, if you want to talk, we can give you the context of what happened. And nobody reached out to these boys. And I saw evidence of this, which is what frustrated me about this in the first place.
Bet you can't run as fast as T-Mobile. Bet you I can. Well, you better pick it up, because T-Mobile now has the fastest 5G home internet. Watch this. I'm okay.
T-Mobile now has the fastest 5G home internet. $35 a month.
Come on, man.
Charles, full assurance.
So here's the thing, Officer Tatum. We're not going to litigate the facts on here from one side of someone who's had an opportunity to talk to a sample size of people who were involved in this investigation. You and I know just as well that the real issue here is that the people who conducted the investigation, i.e. the Mississippi Sheriff's Department, who've talked to over 60 witnesses in this case, have not yet presented that case or their findings to a grand jury, and they've been extremely tight-lipped with respect to what they have found and what it is that they know. Where I'm going with this is, regardless of who you may have spoke to, who Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton may have spoken to, what information they have had, we are all trying to piece this together, and so it is equally as unfair to present a certain set of facts as if this is the final context of things, when in reality we don't know. What I will say about the overall situation is that for me, as a civil rights attorney, I am looking at this and I am saying that there needs to be a greater sense of transparency from the Sheriff's Department, because they are the ones who have spoken to most of the parties who have been involved in this case. They've conducted over 60 witnesses and witness interviews. They've done the toxicology report. They have the autopsy. So these are the people who are truly put from an information place to give the public the most accurate picture. So I am not calling what you're putting out misinformation. But what I am saying is that that is just an equally biased and slanted point of view in the opposite way, because it lacks the full context. So because of that, let me finish. It's disingenuous intellectually, number one, to dismiss the notion of race, because that is choosing to ignore the history in America that we have faced. Number two, it's equally disingenuous to play a whataboutism to try and substitute the notion of black on black crime, which is a complete misnomer as to why we should not focus, or at least note, I won't even say focus, at least note the color issues that are at play with respect to what could or might have happened to Nolan Wells. Again, not necessarily being accusatory. And it's just as disingenuous for you to go further and say, well, we must assume, or it seems like Crump and Sharpton and everyone else was projecting the notion of race. That may have been your interpretation, which I cannot necessarily argue with, but it is just as problematic for you to suggest the polar opposite of that when none of us have conducted this full investigation. You have a limited sample size. I have a limited sample size. The public has been wrought with misinformation. So for me, the real issue here is the lack of transparency from the sheriff's office to give the public a complete picture.
Well, let me tell you where I disagree with you fully. As a former police officer, and I was a PIO, I dealt with all of these things. The police department is not an injustice when you say there's a lack of communication or transparency. The police department cannot put this information out there when you still have suspects at large. If they go and release some of this information and show their hands of what they know and don't know, then potential suspects will begin to destroy evidence. They'll start hiding. They'll start cleaning stuff. You don't want to give that information out to the public until you know for a fact that you've been able to communicate with every suspect that's out there. If you start putting out the autopsy prematurely and it shows blunt force to the head, strangulation to the neck, then the people who have done this are going to make sure they hide the murder weapon. They're going to make sure they get their stories together and say, no, I didn't hit him in the back of the head. You don't want to project those things too prematurely. So there's no issue with transparency. And I'll say this, the reason that I'm talking about Al Sharpton and them is because the first thing that they said was that he was there with white boys, therefore there had to be something. And then it goes back historically. Some of them compared this to the young man.
Very good messages from them when they have said, we cannot assume that this is racist, but we cannot assume that it wasn't.
So okay, let me jump in there.
Who's that, Charles? Hold on. Who said that? Who said that? Literally during his eulogy, Al Sharpton said, that this was racist, and let me interject. Also not assume that it wasn't. I gotta take your time. Hold on, guys, take your time. Ain't nothing getting edited out. Don't worry about it. Trust me. All of it is. I'm not editing a damn thing. Go ahead, Officer Tatum. Floor yours.
Well, let me interject. When you are looking for justice for your child in a criminal case, meaning that somebody committed a crime against your child, why do you go out and get a civil rights attorney? Benjamin Crump and them are known for going out these cases specifically in injustices against black people. Let me try first. Okay, go ahead. No, that's fair, Charles. Go ahead.
I'm a former prosecutor. I'm a civil rights attorney. Please understand how these things work. At the end of the day, when you're talking about quote-unquote justice, the first reason why you get someone like Benjamin Crump is because he is a person who has experience with wrongful death lawsuits. So it's not about black people. No, it is.
Benjamin don't represent white people.
Please talk about that is completely false. That is completely
the last case he represented.
I'm not here to do your research.
What is wrong with that man? I don't know what's wrong with that phone.
But Benjamin
Crump has a
long-standing career of supporting people of all races and ethnicities when it comes to the violation of their civil rights, as well as personal injury. So please let me answer your question.
Go ahead.
The reason why you get a civil rights attorney is because, number one, Benjamin Crump has extensive experience when it comes to wrongful death suits. Number two, in this situation, it is possible that there may be an element that Nolan Weldon's civil rights were violated and that something may have happened to him because of his color, which is why you get a civil rights attorney. And so that is the answer to your question.
It's about
As
color.
a former prosecutor, you let the police and the sheriff's office deal with the notion of criminality because that is one thing that Benjamin Crump can't do anything about.
Well, let's say this. Brother, can I jump in here?
You go get someone like Benjamin Crump.
Why wouldn't the kids get civil rights?
The Lord our God says his people are yet in captivity. So who needs to be saved?
Like, for instance, people were saying, why did these kids lawyer up? Well, first of all, many of them didn't even have a lawyer. They went and talked to investigators and did a lot of things that says equivalent with no lawyers. Okay, so, but anyway, wouldn't you think it would be weird if these kids went out and got a civil rights attorney?
You haven't seen the sun.
Who needs to be delivered, Officer Tatum?
Why would they have a civil rights attorney? They're not being accused of anything.
They are being accused. They are accused of Al Sharpton. Benjamin Crump.
Show me where Al Sharpton has accused them of something.
All right, they said, this is what they said.
To suspicion. Show
This
me
is what they said. No, they said they put these boys' pictures out on the internet and said he went out, and they framed it as he went out just with them, and something happened, and we know something happened, and why they hiding phones and doing all this? He's accusing them before any evidence is presented.
That's not an accusation. That
It is an accusation.
But Charles, it's a statement of suspicion. That's not an accusation.
Why is it suspicion?
Hold on. Charles, let me chime in here. A statement of suspicion, some people would say, is an accusation. I understand from the legal, literal sense what you're saying. But talking amongst ourselves right now, when you say a statement of suspicion is not an accusation, that's not how people interpret a statement of suspicion. When you make a statement of suspicion, you're making an accusation. I mean, can we at least concede that?